Guessed it right. Eurovision. And it has been a week, and it has been an interesting week, just like every week it's interesting as of right now when it comes to Eurovision. And even though we're done with the national final season world, we still have plenty of things to discover and to talk about. So I'm really appreciative, everyone, making some time to talk. First of all, good evening to most of you, some maybe good day. Fernanda, Jelly, Iufe, thank you for joining us. And yes, we'll talk about Eurovision as always. I'll make sure to answer the questions that you have. And the only thing you have to do is put the questions in the chat at ESC United so that I know that you are talking to me. And if you don't mind, please like this video, and because the algorithm really appreciates that. Watching the video, of course, staying on the videos as long as humanly possible, liking them, subscribing, of course, if you haven't done so already. Those kind of things will go a long way. So, and I know that this week will be a little, the next couple of weeks live streams, there will be less of an audience, but that is okay. I just want to make sure that we're going over some of the things that have transpired, because, there is so much to talk about. And let me just get some of the things out of the way. As said, we're going to focus on the good stuff, but of course, we are living here in the real world, and we're all still, thinking a lot about what's going on to our friends in Ukraine and the horrible events. And we all know that this is a tragic situation, and we still are aware that Ukraine will be at Eurovision 2022 in some shape or form, whether it's a live on tape performance or if it's going to be actually a in-person situation. That remains to be seen. I did pay attention to some of the things that popped up online. There was just a video that came in from the Kalush rapper, and I'm going to tell you exactly what he said. He said, "Hi, it's Kalush. It's exactly 50 days to Eurovision, which was yesterday or the day before. We're preparing as we can, doing our very best to represent our country as best as we can. A big thanks to the organizers and the Eurovision community. Thank you very much for your support." So that is the most recent one. So they still have every intent to take part in the Eurovision Song Contest. And there was another interview that was released a couple of days ago, where they were saying that, and the Ole Suik, that the lead rapper of the group, said to Reuters, the news outlet, in regards to Eurovision, first of all, they're still the favorites to win the song contest, right? Like way ahead, above the rest. But he did say, "I cannot enjoy this while I'm worried about my loved ones. The war separated me and my girlfriend. She's 300 kilometers away from me. We cannot meet because it is very dangerous." And because it's always heartbreaking when you hear that kind of stuff. They are saying, though, that at the moment, the members of the band are rehearsing the Stefania staging, but they are rehearsing it separately because they're all broken apart, right? But they do have plans to meet up in Lviv. And I know the most recent news coming in, I don't know what's going to happen to that. But they said no matter under what circumstances, we will go to Eurovision. So they are determined to actually be there. In terms of how this is going to work, if they get a travel exemption for this, I don't know, but they are fully aware that this is a very important platform for Ukraine. A statement, and this one is in German, so I'm going to just paraphrase some of the things that were said. Is originally these participation in the contest was just a singing competition where we would go in front of Europe and show our talents and our identity as European artists. But um, now Europe and the contest are the biggest platform for us, uh, where we not only can talk about the war, but also be eyewitnesses of what is happening in the countries and how we are being basically attacked, and that we are humans, and that at the end of the competition that we will have to return to what's going on. And it's just an opportunity for us, the contest, that we can show the average European listening to music and communicate it to them that that your artists that are very popular on your playlist, that they may no longer exist in the future because Russia is throwing bombs and attacking and aiming at every single Ukrainians. Um, for us, it is going to be that every Ukrainian will be with us on that stage in Turin, and every victory is important to us. So that is, of course, very powerful. But we will have to wait and see what's going to happen. And somebody said, yeah, are they going to get more rehearsal time if they end up going to Turin? I think that would be unreasonable process because let's be real, the EBU, even though the rehearsal schedule is tight for everyone, they do have the ability to squeeze in some time after the official rehearsal period is over. They have done that in the past. If there were technical difficulties with a certain act, the staging didn't work, the lighting, certain props did not come in on time, they allow them sometimes to rehearse later in the evening. So I could see them doing something like that for them here as well. So there's just still a big question mark in terms of what's going to happen to Ukraine and how this all going to pan out. But we do know at least that every intent and plan is made for Ukraine to be there, whether it is for the band Kalush Orchestra physically in Turin or some kind of the music video or some recording in the studio. We don't know yet. We still have over a month to go, but of course we're all glad that we will have 40 songs regardless of the outcome. So I am stoked to hear about that, at least not about the rest, of course, what they have to go through, and that we shouldn't just be like, well, it's another song for us, we're happy. We understand that there is so much at stake. um but yeah, and I think the statement Eurovision came from the aftermath of a war, so it's important that Ukraine is there, although I know they have bigger things on their mind. That is true. All of this is accurate. And then with the footnote, as the band was saying, this is such an important piece for us, an opportunity for us to show the world we are here and tell our story. And I have a feeling the producers will mention Ukraine and the war in some shape or form as well. So there will be obviously a lot of sympathy, rightfully so. But yeah, so that is what's going on. I know there are a lot of people out there. I'm sure there's some people in the chat as well that may say, well, the only reason that Ukraine is number one in the betting odds is because of the current situation. And there may be some truth to it. I'm sure there's some sympathy, but let's be real here. That song was immensely popular from the get-go, before even the war broke out in the end. So it is definitely could be a factor, yes, but Ukraine would have been at the top or near the top anyways. It was before this all broke out. It's just a kind of song that Ukraine is almost always at the top of the betting odds for obvious reasons, because they send music that is immensely popular, not just within the Eurovision bubble, but also with the average viewer. So there is the reason. There is a reason for that. And if you watched my reaction video to all 40 songs that I posted a day or two ago, it is probably my favorite Ukrainian entry in 10 years. So I think I may be a good representative in terms of how appealing the song is. So yeah, so I'm hopefully this is all going according to plan. At least I know they have a bigger fish to fry, you could say, but to them and for everyone else, it is also just an important opportunity for them as well. I know there's a lot of other stuff going on behind the scenes. I know that countries like Latvia, they banned some of the Eurovision artists like Polina from 2015 and the singer from 2005 because they took part in what is being referred to as a Russian propaganda event concert, in support of Putin's agenda, all of that stuff. It's a very difficult subject because some people are saying, well, if you are being asked to go, you better go to this. It's maybe it'll be voluntarily. Others are saying they've been always very vocal about their support for Putin. So they are banned to travel to Latvia and some, I would assume, some other countries. it is just, anything like that feeds over to every aspect in the world and life, including Eurovision. And that is just the reality of it. And I don't want to spend all day just talking about this, of course, but I wanted to at least see what your thoughts are. This is where we're at. And hopefully, in the next few weeks, we'll get some more information on that. By the way, in case you don't know, the concert in Barcelona, the Eurovision concert in Barcelona is tonight. Apparently, there's going to be a live stream, so I'll make sure to be offline by the time it kicks off. I think it starts at 2015 today. So this is a good transition into that show if you want to watch it. So, and what was beautiful, watch some clips on social media. There seems to be extra affection between the artists this year. There's so many hugs and happiness and dancing going on, and it just warms your heart. And a big shout out, first of all, to, and I don't use that term lightly because it's often overused, Queen Chanel from Spain. She loves everybody. She memorized choreographies and dances to like the Norwegian song, the Romanian song, and just greets the artist and is just so happy to be there. She is the poster child ambassador for her country. So I love that kind of stuff and seeing just the happiness, especially in these trying times that we are in. So that is definitely a beautiful thing. Does anyone know where we can watch the streams concert? There is a link that I can send you in just a moment as I'm talking. So just bear with me. I'm bringing that up. But yeah, there should be a link on the um, website for the Barcelona concert that I'll post in the chat in just a moment. Keep an eye out for that. So, yeah, make sure to check that out. There will be a lot of artists, more than usual. It is really, this has ramped up the promotion and the excitement for this. It is very, very exciting to a lot of people that we missed it, of course, the last couple of years. For the, last year there was all these restrictions. The year before, it was canceled. So it seems like they're all just very excited that this is where we're at now. So I am excited, and I thought I had the link here. Somebody posted it earlier on our forum, and now, oh, here it is. I found it. Hold on tight. Hold on tight. I need like a assistant on the side to do this kind of stuff for me here. So that should be the link. Check it out for Barcelona. But don't leave me just now. How dare you? How dare you? So yes, hopefully that'll be the first one. Then we could still have the Madrid show, the London and Eurovision, Amsterdam, Israel, and there's some others. And I cannot go to any of them because I live on the other side of the world and I do have a job. So, and sometimes, certain artists announce, I know that San Marino had to pull out of Barcelona, Montenegro had to pull out of London, I believe. And yeah, so by the way, in case you hadn't heard, so Brooke from Ireland, she traveled to Barcelona. Good news, she is there, but she lost her passport on her way from the airplane to security. And they actually were like, well, you can't come in, lady. And they had to take her to security. There's a clip on TikTok. You can find it on Twitter as well, of her explaining a story. They can't let her in because she doesn't have identification. So they put her in a room, interviewed her, and all the agents were sitting there listening to her clip on their phones of "That's Rich." So they're all sitting there, "That's rich." Da, da. While she's trying to be like, "No, let me into the country. Let me into the country." And that is, fortunately, it all worked out. It's good when you're a prominent person, I guess, to get through. That was pretty stellar. I thought it was a fun story. So yeah, that is what's happening there. Make sure if you love some Eurovision music, that is a great thing. Real quick, I know some people kept asking me online as well if I want to add anything to the whole drama that had occurred over the past week or so when it comes to the EBU, virtually limiting access to Eurovision to such an extent for the independent media, often frequently referred to as the fan media, which I always find a little condescending, because they're not mainstream. And now they just walking away from it. Most outlets, including ESC United, only getting one on-site access, which is me. I will be the only person in the press center in Turin representing ESC United. We will have, though, a team of 4 in Turin. Sean will be there at some point. We have Melanie and Roy, most likely will all be there, and we'll have other means to do our live coverage. It's unfortunate that way. And the way it was communicated, meaning not at all, to everyone, is very sad. There is, of course, I cannot do the same kind of coverage as a one-man operation inside the arena as I usually did. So that is unfortunate. In addition to that, they also got completely rid of the fan access to the press center because there was always fan accreditation. I could be off in the numbers, but I think it was about 10 fan accreditation passes per country or something like that. I forgot the exact numbers in there, the undedicated area. That is completely gone as well, in addition to no access to the first round of rehearsals to the media. So it has been scaled back to such an extent by the EBU. It is, it's going to be very different, and it's not going to be quite as exciting to a lot of people, myself included. So I'm flying in only. I will arrive in Turin that Monday, and rehearsals will not start the second round until Wednesday. So it's going to be a little different. Somebody saying, please take care of yourself when you're in Turin. Don't overwork yourself. I will do my best not to, but I will have to work harder than usual. So there will be very little to no sightseeing. But the good thing is I'll come in on Monday. I'll do sightseeing on Monday evening and a lot of that on Tuesday. So I will have a little bit of time for that. So, but yeah, it's unfortunate. I think more than anything, if the EBU wants to go a different route and try something different, they feel there's less value to the independent media. They're the bosses. They can do whatever they want, right? It's just the lack of communication and just the abrupt disconnect there, right? They didn't respond to any of our emails. And at some point I got, after sending like this kind of paragraph, I got a one-liner saying there's limited access. That's all I got as a response. They just avoid commenting on anything, explaining, and didn't give us anyone the heads up. So we're all just caught off guard by that, which is just, if you knew you had this in mind for so long, please communicate. That's the least people deserve after being so loyal and providing you so much free coverage for all of these years. And especially during a time when none of the mainstream media would show up for the early rehearsals. The first week was dead, right? It was only us, and we're the ones providing the coverage. I guess it was just not as valued as we thought it was. So that is the unfortunate part. At the same time, I can complain until the cows come home. It is their decision, and you just have to deal with it. It is just, it's certainly, I know people who've been there for over 30 years, every single year they were declined this year, and they certainly, that is such a stab to them in the heart, and they basically just gave up on Eurovision. So they certainly lost a lot of dedicated fans for that. So I just want to put it out there. I will continue to do my best coverage, and my team, I just want to get it. It almost moved me to tears if I wasn't a heartless bitch. But that when all my team was declined, they're like, we're still coming, we're still going to be there. I'm like, the fact that you're doing all of that just warms my heart. So I have the best team in the world, and that's no offense to any of the other teams that are all great too, but mine, they're the best people for just being there for it. So that made me very happy, and we'll have some online access as well. So we'll be there for the rehearsals, for the live streams, and all of that. So I just want to let you know, content will be there. It's just going to be a little bit more play it by ear and certain limitations. I will not most likely do any in-person interviews. We'll have our buddy Connor do most of them online, so he can focus on that, so I can focus on rehearsals, some of the press conferences, and all of that stuff. So live coverage from inside the place, and then I'll be able to go and witness some of the rehearsals and social media, all of that stuff. So well, there's going to be a lot of planning right now. There's already a lot of planning going on behind the scenes. So just want to let you know that is all in the works. And I'm just very unhappy how the fans, and put the media aside, right? Put the fan media, because I know there are a lot of talks about, a lot of them were abusing the system. That is not not an incorrect statement. There have been people who have not been doing their job and using that as a opportunity for free access to the artists and just walking around the press center. They did exist, but most of them were working really, really hard. But it's also about the fans and how they're being treated, right? About the fan accreditation. That was what made Eurovision special, and that has been completely eradicated. And that, more than anything, is very, very sad to me. But hey, it is what it is, and we'll make the most of it. And hopefully, you will be still excited about this. And at least that gives me maybe more time to focus on the American Song Contest. I know not everyone is watching it. I am, though, because, I'm American and it is a spin-off, whatever you want to call it, of the actual Eurovision. So we have 56 new songs, and the show almost overlap with rehearsals. So that is at least one good thing that we can put some more attention to that. I did a video for the first heat that you can watch if you want to see it, and the next heat will be on Monday. Get ready for that as well. So that at least gives us that opportunity to talk about it. And I don't want to spoil too much if you haven't listened to the 11 songs from last Monday, and then the next 11 come this Monday. So that is also up in the air. Johnny's asking, where can I watch the pre-party? I posted the link earlier in the chat. Just scroll up. You should be able to find it. Let me see if I still have it here. I have it. There you go. Lynn is asking about the ratings. So I think NBC, the channel that broadcasted, finished in fourth that night. So about 3 million people watched the show right away, but often you have to wait a week for streaming and all that to get a pure number in this day and age. Some new websites mentioned that it was just mediocre results. I think they're actually pretty good for multiple reasons. Number one, any new show that pops up, you cannot just expect like an American Idol sort of um, viewership. No one knows about it. You have to create a hype. There was no material, no content out there that they could use to show people. Right now, they can maybe build on that. It may still go down and it may not pick up, but I would not look at 3 million saying this is a disappointment. That's actually a pretty good result overall, plus all the other information that have to come in. And even Christian Bjorkman, the gentleman who said this may take even a few years to really build upon it and make sure that it works, because it's just not in an American culture to watch something like that. People are used to people singing known songs, so music they can sing along to, right? So this is a completely new concept. There is not the first Eurovision contest in the 50s. It was not like, oh my God, it was, and that's what it takes to really build that up as well. So just wanted to let you know that this is going to be coverage that at least we can focus on as well. So we also have now the location of the Eurovision Village, which is super exciting, right? At least we know that's going to happen, because we don't know if there's going to be a Euro Club or a Euro Cafe at this point. As a matter of fact, there are not even tickets out yet. I have never seen anything like this before. I understand that they probably want to wait for more information on the size that will be allowed, but we are now in late March and we still have no information on tickets. That is insanity. And they should have, at least, because they said at least 65% audience will be allowed, start selling those tickets, right? It just seems a little odd to me that we have nothing on tickets yet. And how are people supposed to plan their travel? I mean, it seems also a little odd to me, and just no communication at all. It's again that whole hush hush thing goes back to what I said earlier. Cheers. Need some water. Lee is saying, anxious to get a ticket, but if not, at least there's Eurovision Village. Well, I have a feeling that a lot of my folks will be at Eurovision Village for coverage as well, because, they can't get into the arena. I don't know how much I'll be able to go. I'll have to go early because, I'll be the only one that can be in the press center. Did I mention that, how annoying that is? So yeah, that is what is going on. And by the way, I will have an open Q&A session at the very end of this live stream. So any random questions, feel free to ask them at that point. I just want to go through some of the things here that is going on. Some people ask me on Twitter, if you can talk about what is your staging expectations for the songs, if there are certain ones that you have envisioned anything. And my answer is no. Some of them maybe subconsciously. I'm going through the lists here right now. Let's see what stagings I can see something already put together. So the ones that come to mind for me is Lithuania. I can see sticking very close to what they've done in the national final, just with a bigger stage and more effects, but probably going to be a very simple performance with her, the beautiful dress, and just her being the focus of attention with nice little things. Going to be fairly scaled back, I would think. That is how I would see it. Subwoofer will probably stay close to their national final performance as well, probably with more fireworks and maybe just cooler backdrops and all that stuff. I could be wrong, but that is just my hunch. Who else could I see something put in place? I would love to hear from you guys as well if you think what some of the other acts may put together or your hunches. Let me take a look at the second semifinal. I think that Serbia, that's going to be changed, but I'm curious how much they're going to stick to like the washing hands and clapping. There will be clapping, but I don't know how much hand washing they will have. I can see Sweden will be almost identical to their Melodifestivalen performance. Stefan obviously will stay to his genre, right? The Wild West. Maybe they have another shootout. Pew 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 pew. I hope not. I think France will probably stick to their national final to a certain extent, but just really adjusted to the big stage where they had better camera work, more spread out, and just really more tight camera shots. That is what I am thinking. And the other ones, there will be a lot of, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. And that is kind of beautiful. That is kind of beautiful. So yeah, other than that, I wish I could give you more insight into, but I try not to overthink it because sometimes I do, and then I see the actual performance or staging. I'm like, that's not what I thought was going to happen. And then there's always a disappointment. And I'd rather have like moments like Moldova 2018, where it was just like, what? So that is my hope. What are your predictions for the UK staging? I'm kind of nervous about it. I have no expectations because again, I don't want to be too disappointed. I'm equally nervous about it. Because over the past 10 years, I think the BBC only managed to come up with good staging once in 2017, right? Everything else was at bare minimum acceptable, or worst case scenario, just utterly disastrous. And that is my concern. I think though that I'm hopeful that they will keep it not too literal. I mean, it could be more of a space feel to it, right? He's floating through space. I think that could work, but don't recreate the video where he flies in a chair throughout the sky. That may be a little weird, but I think Spaceman lends itself to having a more of a backdrop like that. So somebody's asking, by the way, when we go into the jury panel. I'm currently in the process of collecting all the votes. I think I only need 2 more. And then I'll start scheduling the recording sessions, and I hope to have this going early April. So just letting you know about that as well. So one other thing I wanted to talk about. Obviously, we have all 40 songs now in the running. So we know who is in what semi. Now, we don't have the running order just yet, but I still think it would be a good idea to actually start our predictions. The running order in the semis is not really as significant. It's more impactful in the grand final because there are a lot more songs in the running. Plus, you want to end higher up while you only need to be in the top 10 here. So it's a different kind of approach. So let's bring this up here. As you can see, I'm going to bring out the first semi-final first. And these are the songs. I would love to hear your thoughts as we are going through this. The semi-final one, I find there are more there are more songs in there where I feel confident of qualifying, while the second semifinal is a big clusterfuck to me. Oops. Like here, I feel like okay, there are about seven-ish songs. I'm like, I feel confident as of right now that they will go through. Keep in mind, we had surprises last year. Romania on paper was like a sure qualifier, and Portugal was a sure non-qualifier, and then the staging came in, and then they flipped around. So that kind of stuff can often happen. Now, keep in mind that what you see on screen right now is not the running order, right? It's just what the EBU put on their website. Um, so I posted on Twitter yesterday in terms of like who I think will open the semi. I still think they will put Ukraine first just because it gives them the message. Here is, celebrating this, the current climate. I think that would be the best way to open it. I think I could see that happening. In terms of who will close the second this semi, I predicted Austria on like a high energy note. That would be me. But let's take a look at the songs that first. Let me pick the ones that I feel as are very likely qualifier. And the qualifiers that I feel are highly likely as of right now, the Netherlands, right? I do think that they are just going to do really well, and qualification is very likely at this stage. Keep in mind, anything can change once the rehearsals kick off, but I'm just for as of right now. Netherlands to me seems like a very sure qualifier. I will also put Albania up as a very likely qualifier as of right now. I do think it's going to have a lot of support. Ukraine to me, another very likely qualifier. So there you have three. I do think Lithuania will also most likely go through. This just, yeah, I just feel pretty confident about that. That's four, right? Number five, unless the staging is a complete mess, I think Austria looks really, really good. I think it just really gonna have a very big group. They fill such a major void, and I think that a lot of people gravitate towards that. Now, again, staging vocals makes me a little nervous, but as of right now, I feel this is a very likely qualifier. Greece will fly through this year. No questions asked, in my view, as well. Quite popular, very contemporary, and I just think it has checks all the boxes. And then another one to me, very clear, Norway just will go through as well. I just don't see any other outcome here. So those are seven songs that I think, as of right now, will be very likely to go through. And then the rest, I can see almost every single song battling for the remaining three spots. Maybe, let me see if there are some exceptions. I don't see a lot of chances, based on my ops at least, feel for Slovenia and Bulgaria. I think they will struggle to qualify. All the other ones, I can see potentially actually grabbing one of the remaining slots. I know not a lot of people think of Switzerland. Switzerland is probably, as of right now, for me, also a non-qualifier, but it has the market. I can see the jury's actually liking this one quite a bit. But yeah, it's going to be tougher. But I see Moldova actually more on a pretty good shot to go through. Latvia's in the running. I think Armenia is. Croatia will be a little tougher, I think. Denmark often goes through with songs that we don't think will go through, so why can't they repeat that this year? And then both Iceland and Portugal, I will put into a category of, comes down to how people will feel about the song, because these are two songs that have a big emotional impact if done right, or people will connect to it. Do you know what I mean? So if that connection comes across, I think one of them at least can qualify. I'm struggling seeing them both going through, but one of them could potentially squeeze through. So that is my thing. Both Portugal and Iceland, I feel as is the connection there emotionally for the televoters to actually go for it. That is my biggest question there. So, but that is my guess. So, but if I had to guess right now, let's just gun to my head, who do I think will go through? Netherlands, Albania, Ukraine, Lithuania, Austria, Greece, Norway. Hey, and now I have to pick. I will say Moldova. I will say Denmark. And Latvia could go big in the televote, but I'm worried about the juries. And then, so the 10th spot is then fighting between Latvia, Iceland, and Portugal for me. I will go with. I think Portugal has a bigger chance of qualifying over Iceland. So now I'm stuck between Latvia and Portugal. So that's one of my 10th qualifier. I don't know. Is it Latvia or Portugal right now? I'll go with Latvia. That is my feeling. With Portugal, my only concern is this song reminds me a lot of the hype that happens in the bubble, like 2018 and 19 were so popular with people, and then it just didn't translate well to the ordinary viewers in Europe, and that is my concern with Portugal, and that's probably why I'm going with Latvia, because it has more of a gimmicky feel to it that often the televoters will go through. I know some people laughing at Denmark, but I'm telling you, every time people laugh at Denmark qualifying, they laughed at Denmark in 2019 and then finished on the left side of the scoreboard. And they laughed at Denmark initially, the Viking song Rasmus. Now everyone loves it, but back then people laughed at it, and then it finished in the top 5 in the televote. So, and then look at some of the other songs over the years that they just keep going through and doing well. 2017, it just happens. There is just a market for it. There is just a market for it. That's why I feel like this actually has a lot more appeal than people think. Armenia, though, I kind of ignored Armenia now here as well. I can see Armenia, not the most in-your-face song. But yeah, it's just for right now. If Denmark didn't qualify last year, then they have no hope this year. I don't necessarily agree, because Denmark last year was a whole. I'm sorry, but it's the juries that really destroyed Denmark last year. And Denmark was really close to qualifying. I think that Reddy has a lot more, or at least a little bit more jury appeal. Last year just did not have what it takes for the juries, and it's the juries that drowned it, because the televoters put like in 6th place or something like that, right? So it was quite popular with the televoters. So what the Danish song needs is a little more jury-friendly sound, and I think Reddy has that, and that is what I am thinking. So that is my guess. So yeah, as of right now, and keep in mind, this is not what I want. My top 10 would look quite different, or at least, yeah. But so one last time: Netherlands, Albania, Ukraine, Moldova, Lithuania, Latvia, Austria, Denmark, Greece, and Norway. That's just my hunch right now. But I have my eyes on Iceland. No, actually, Iceland not as much. But Portugal, Armenia, those are the two that certainly are right there, potentially coming in there as well. Someone says Switzerland will qualify. I hope so. I just think it's not just a very popular sound with the televoters. So that makes me a little nervous, and we shall see. We shall see. Again, my personal taste is very different. Let's do the same thing for the second semifinal. How does that sound? You're ready. Aha. So now this one is tough, man. This one, oh, they have one more song that doesn't quite fit on the screen here. I find this one very, very, very difficult to predict right now. There are only a few songs I feel somewhat confident qualifying. So we'll see. So the songs that I feel fairly confident about is Australia, and I think they will continue their tradition, even though they took a break in 2019 and 21, but return to the 2018 area where the juries will give this one a lot of points, and they're not quite as high with the televoters, but certainly enough to go through. So Australia, I feel pretty confident will go through. I do think that Sweden is a guaranteed qualifier. I feel very good about Czech Republic. Those are 3, and I actually, I'm always worried about the juries now with Poland. I do think that one will go through as well. So those are some that I feel good about. Now let's go for some of them real quick, and I would love to hear from you as well. Azerbaijan. I don't think the song left a major impact with the fans and overall, right? It is Azerbaijan though, so they almost always qualify. They only failed to qualify once, and that was in 2018. And even then, they were just in 11th place, just barely missed it. So every year, people are like, Azerbaijan is not that good of a song, it's not going to qualify. And boom, every time it qualifies. So that is why they're still on my radar. Malta, I'm less confident about. Could potentially get jury support, but I think, but it's a tough one. Cyprus has to qualify. I really hope this will go through. I'm just worried, because I'm taking a risky choice, and I hope they will be rewarded. I hope they'll be rewarded for it, but I'm not confident. Serbia could go either way. Serbia, I think, will struggle with the juries, but if the televoters are just as mesmerized by as a lot of Eurovision fans are, it could actually fly through, or it could completely go past them, right? If it's just like, I don't get it. I know Serbians love the song because it really just speaks to them. There's a lot of powerful messaging behind it. I get it. But, 99.9% of people don't speak Serbian. So, or whatever, I just made up that number. You get my point. The vast majority of people don't know the message of the song. And even if some of the commentators give maybe a quick insight, it's just usually not enough. So it really comes down to the interpretation of the song. Will that work? So that is my hoping. I feel fairly good about Finland's odds, even though I didn't mention them right now. I think Finland will go through. San Marino, I'm a little nervous about. I thought it was going to be more popular because people loved Italy, which I didn't get last year, but people not quite as warming up as much to this stripper as to the Italian song last year. So that's why I'm a little nervous. Georgia is a big wild card. My gut feeling tells me no. But it is so fun. Israel, pretty, I wouldn't say universally slammed by the bubble, but certainly highly criticized. But Israel has this thing where they often are overlooked and then qualify. And I feel pretty good about Israel's chances this year as well. I think it's just going to be a pretty, I think, good chances for it as well. I feel pretty good about Israel's chances. Belgium, I'm actually also feeling decent chances. I do think juries will give this a lot of points, and I could see actually a lot more televote support than some people let on here. So I feel pretty good about that as well. Montenegro has the potential of being a borderline qualifier. Again, it fills a certain void, and it may have some support. It gets some points from Serbia, North Macedonia. So there is some support there. It's going to be a tougher road, not because it's a good song, but, it's not necessarily the most excitable song, but I think it's still a good song in my view. I think Estonia is a tricky one for me because I see a lot of people liking it. I'm not quite on board with it as much, but it's not just me deciding it. There seems to be a certain people get excited about the song. So yeah, I can't fault them with it. So it's on my radar as well. North Macedonia will struggle, I think. I just don't think it's melodically and interesting or exciting enough for the televoters, and I don't think there's anything for the juries to grab on it either. So it's just a concern of mine. Romania could be the party anthem of the year. If it comes across right, I can see this one doing fairly well in the televote. Jury's making me a little nervous, so I think this is in the running, but I'm not certain. Ireland, as of right now, my gut feeling tells me non-qualifier, but it's not completely off my radar either. Not completely. It's just a little, tougher for me to see people actually going crazy over it. Any thoughts, by the way, on the running order? Make sure at ESC United in the channel if you want to address it. Oh, Holly brings up a good question. Who do you think should open and close both semifinals? I already mentioned the first semifinal. For this semifinal, again, I tweeted about it yesterday. So if you're not following me on Twitter, what's your problem? My gut feeling tells me Israel will be the opening song of the night, and closing was tough because there are a lot of songs that have closing potential, including Belgium, Czech Republic, Estonia, and Ireland. Those are the songs I feel have closing qualities. Ultimately, I went with Ireland. They're going to pick that one as the closer, but I wouldn't be surprised to see some of the ones I just mentioned. I could see those closing as well. So that is certainly man, but as everyone is saying, it is a tough one. It's a tough one. So let me try to come up with 10. Again, this is tough. And I'm not confident about it all. So I will put in Australia, Finland, Israel, Sweden, Czech Republic, Estonia, Poland. We're up to 7. I will say Serbia. Let's put Serbia 8. Oh man, my gut feeling would now tells me Cyprus and Azerbaijan, but then almost all of my qualifiers come from the first half. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Did I say Belgium already? Wait, I should have written this down. Let me do that again. Australia, Australia, Serbia, Finland, Israel, Sweden, Czech Republic, Estonia, Poland. I will say Belgium, and I will say Azerbaijan. Oh, mine. Where did I go? I hate when that happens. I don't know where my screen went, but I don't know where we left off either. So let me do it one more time because I've counted it 15 times now. Australia, Serbia, Finland, Israel, Sweden, Czech Republic, Estonia, Poland, Belgium, and then, man, right now it's a battle for me between Azerbaijan, Cyprus, and Romania. I will say Azerbaijan. They always get through. They always do it. So I'll pick Azerbaijan. So that is the 10 I will pick for now. Again, this is not a very confident prediction and far, far from what I would like to see. I want Cyprus to go through though. So I very much so. So I'm just worried that people will not like the approach this year because they're so used to the bangers. So yeah, that is. Where do you think I'm off? Or I mean, again, as I said, I'm not even sure I can be off because I said I have very few like I just the only songs I'm mostly see out of contention as of right now, and I'll watch them go through, is North Macedonia. I think Ireland will struggle. Georgia will be a tough road. San Marino, I don't know. Yeah, but everybody else I feel as could do well. Yeah, they're in it. This is the fun part, right? This is where like, oh my god, this is what I live for. The a less predictable semifinal makes for so much more fun. I will probably do a more proper semifinal prediction one in the near future with my team. But I just wanted to go over that because now that we have all the songs, I haven't really given it any thought. And as pointed out, I don't think that the running order is going to make a huge difference here. If anything, like maybe being the opening number could give you maybe a little bit of an advantage because you have this momentum going into it. Because keep in mind, all you need to do is finish in the top 10. You don't need to worry about winning it. And so I'm saying Cyprus fills with ethnic sounds void. I think it'll qualify before maybe Estonia. I'm on board with it. It has to go through. I'm certainly not everyone goes for the ethnic sound. Unfortunately, that pisses me off. The juries often penalize songs like that, so I'm just nervous about it. And maybe because I'm too protective of it, so I'm maybe just negative, so that I can be like, oh my god, it went through. So yeah. Ignonito is saying Poland will be in the top 10 for juries for the first time ever, because not so fun fact, Poland has never been in the top 10 for juries in semi. I hope you're right, because you would think in 2016 with the vocal performance of the song that they would have been the top 10 and they put it like in the bottom. So that's why like I'm traumatized by that experience. But I hope you're right. I hope you are right. Who will win the televote juries in both semifinals at this point? Why are you asking me all these difficult questions? This is not cool. All right, let me take a look again. Let me bring up my screen again. Here you go. So let's go for this together. Who is a potential winner? I could see Netherlands is also, I mean, I've listened to some live performances she can sing. If the emotional connection comes across, I could see Netherlands winning this semi potentially. Uh, does Norway have what it takes to win the semi? I think they're more like a second or third placer for me. Well, I feel like more confident about Ukraine could win. Ukraine could win this semi. So yeah, as of right now, my gut feeling tells me Ukraine is going to win the semi. Ukraine is going to win the semi. And I don't know if Bulgaria will be last. Slovenia or Bulgaria will be last. That's just my gut feeling right now. And semi 2. Semi 2. My gut feeling tells me Sweden will win this semi. Sweden gives me this vibe of winning this semi and then coming like third in the finals. I just don't see it as a Eurovision winner, right? But I see it as a really, really successful song with Eurovision, almost like the Undo kind of route. I'm not comparing the songs. I'm just saying, it just gives me that kind of, potential. That's my feeling. But I still think out of these songs, I think Sweden's song is out of all the ones in the running has equal amount of jury and televote appeal, and that is what you're looking for. While there could be a good amount of discrepancies here between some of the other songs, like Australia, really high with the juries, little low with the televoters. Poland could be a potential dark horse for first place if the juries will allow for it to happen. I know I'm so scared of the juries this time around. And usually my taste often lines up more with the juries, but I'm just terrified because I agree with them until I don't. That's usually how it goes. What are the songs we in the bubble are sleeping on? The ones we dismiss outright, but somehow the normies will gravitate towards and vote for the normies. What would they call it in Harry Potter? The Muggles? No, what? I forgot. Let me look at the songs again. It's very hard to do that because often you give that title to songs that you like that are not as popular. Songs that people may be sleeping on. Um, I don't know if anything in the first semi comes to mind. Second semi, I could see Malta doing a little better than people think. A lot of people just find it boring, but I could see it doing a little better than anticipated. Cyprus, Cyprus is pretty popular. I could see Georgia actually surprising, kind of like a 2016 situation. I mean, Israel, I've pointed out before, is going to do much better than people give it credit for. Israel's going to do better. I think Belgium's going to do better than people think. Those are the ones in the grand final. This is a tough one. I will say a lot of people are still bitter about the national final, but I think Spain could do a whole lot better than people think, actually. I think this just has such a mass appeal. I think Chanel, a great performer, so charismatic, so professional, will really sell this. Will really, really sell this. So I will pick her as well, even though it's quite popular with a lot of people, but not a lot of people think it's going to do well. But the only downside for Spain is putting Germany aside this year. all the other countries, the big 4, 5, they're all bringing the A game, right? Mahmoud and Blanco, France, Spain, UK, they're all sending really good music. So that is certainly something to keep in mind. So that is, now keep in mind, just songs that I picked here that I think are a little bit overlooked. But again, I find this to be a fairly open semifinal, which is a good thing in my view, because it makes it way more entertaining. And often, though, once rehearsals kick in and we have a feel, then it tightens up a lot. And then when we have like, okay, they feel like 8 of them are pretty sure, and then 2 spots are up for grabs. That's usually, I feel like it's gonna go. So we have a few more minutes. Any questions, any thoughts at ESC United in the chat? I'd love to hear from you. Cyprus has the 3rd longest qualifying streak of all countries. Yeah, right? I mean, I'm trying to think. I mean, Ukraine has the longest. We don't take breaks into consideration, right? I know because Ukraine missed 2015. And they were pre-qualified in 2017. But yeah, they've never missed a qualification, right? So Ukraine obviously has the longest. Then Cyprus, since 2015, always qualified. Sweden, certainly only time they didn't qualify was in 2010. Always been through. Am I missing anybody? I think that's it, right? How are you guys gonna cover ESC this year in light of these accreditation issues? Henry, I mentioned that earlier. A lot of the specifics need to be ironed out. We do have 4 to 5 people locally, anyways, even though only one in the press center. So we'll have coverage, but that is all in the works because, we have to be a lot more creative on that. So more to come on that. Holly is asking, what is your ranking for the Big 5? So I happen to like 4 out of the 5 Big 5s. Only song I'm not connecting with is Germany. In terms of ranking, I don't know. And I love Spain, but I feel like the other songs I like even more. I'm just such a big fan of France and Italy, and I really like UK as well. So I could see, I haven't done the top 10 yet for me, but I see 3 or 4 of these big 5s being a potential top 10 of mine. That's how strong they are. And I feel so bad for Germany now because the odds are Germany will be last again in come May because I don't see any of the other big 5s coming last. That means it's either Germany or one of the semifinalists just squeeze through and completely get lost in the finals. And maybe I'm being too harsh on Germany, and there is actually more of a appeal there with the juries, but we always are so good, but it just never happens for them. So I just don't think it'll happen. So yeah, I cannot really do a complete ranking. I need to think. You see, I cannot do I need to sit down, get like 13 pieces of paper, write them down, the pros and cons, and da 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 that. Right? It is just a very big process for me as a statistics nerds that I am. I need to think it through. An organization has been created to expand the Eurovision brand to other countries who don't take part in the contest. How would you like to see the contest expand? Saul, I would love to hear more about that. I'm not quite sure of the expansion of the Eurovision brand, and if it means if Eurovision itself will branch out and allow non-EBU countries in the contest, putting Australia aside, or are we talking about more like something like American Song Contest, like adding other spin-offs to the lineup? So that is what I need to understand first in order to truly give you a more proper response. So I'll read up on that. So maybe on the next live stream. Do you think Cyprus will be in the top 10? Is asking. So I'm nervous about Cyprus, as I said, for the reasons just because they send quality this year, in my view, but it's a risky quality that it'll not work for a lot of people. But I think they have the potential of not even making it to the finals to go high up as like 6th place. Cyprus is one of the big wild cards this year, and I personally hope they will be rewarded for something just that I need at the contest. So my fingers and toes are crossed, but I'm nervous. I'm nervous. It's one of those songs that I'm not comparing them again completely, but Greece 2018, which was a great song and then fell apart and people just didn't get it with the blue hand and all that stuff, right? Cyprus this year could run into a similar situation where it just doesn't click. But if it does, it could go really, really far. Who are you most excited for to see tonight in the pre-party in Barcelona, which is going to start in a few minutes, so I got to go. I don't know the exact lineup, to be honest. I didn't look at the exact lineup, but I'm always excited about Spain bringing the game, and I'm just such a big Chanel fan, and she's just a bubbly personality, so I'm kind of really excited about that. But a lot of the artists that I haven't heard perform live yet, I just want to see how they're doing. And that is going to be interesting. I'm so sad that I cannot go to any of the concerts this year. It's just too expensive. It's just too expensive coming from all the way from California just for a weekend, right? And it takes, if I get a straight flight from LA to wherever, it's 11 hours. And, we're talking about at least $1,000 back and forth. I'm like, I don't make much money off of this. So this is a passion. So if this would be a full-time job, maybe. But yeah, so I'm really excited about everybody. It's just a fun thing. It's enjoying ourselves and loving Eurovision because, after 2 years of limited Eurovision, 2020, we had nothing basically. And in 21, it was so limited. No events, no nothing, only the contest. We finally have a more, let's just enjoy it all. I'm just so happy. I'm just so happy. And I just really want to soak in the Eurovision experience, just like everybody else. I'm still bummed. Okay, here comes Debbie Downer. Merp. I'm still really bummed out about how things panned out with the press and access at Eurovision, that the rehearsals, we cannot even get there until that Wednesday. So it's cut short, only 10 days instead of like 15 days. So it's just, that is a big bummer, but I'm still looking forward just to soak in the experience and make the most of it and bring the best coverage. So I'm just really, I just really just want to enjoy it and not stress over it. That is just what I'm going to do. Got one for you. Domination is asking, whose staging are you most excited about from what we have so far? So I think we talked about it earlier, but I I don't try to think about what they're gonna do, but so I'm letting the professionals handle this. I do know Baptiste is gonna be involved in Switzerland staging, so I'm curious what they're gonna come up with there. I'm very interested to see Austria staging because that's a make or break kind of situation. So I have my eyes on that. I have my eyes on Portugal because they did say they're gonna change that staging. Wasn't the most inspiring one, so I'm curious. I mean, there's only so much they can do. Poland needs to change it. I'm really curious about what they're going to do. That is high up on my list. And yeah, those are some of the ones I look really forward to and see what they are going to do. I'm also interested in Georgia because, we didn't get a music video. It's supposed to be fun. That I know, but how fun? We shall see. Serbia, another one. Serbia. Because they will find a healthy balance, or I think between staying true to the message of the song, but still make it accessible for the European crowd. How do you do that? Maybe not wash your hands for 3 minutes, but just maybe in the beginning and then clap and then do some other stuff, right? So maybe use elements of the national final, but don't make it as of a dominant part of it. So that is what I'm thinking. I'm looking forward to Cyprus. There are a lot of them. There's so many question marks. So many question marks for me. That is beautiful, though. That is exactly what I want. I feel like last year, I'm trying to think where the big whoa moments were. I mean, UK's moment was whoa because of all the big trumpets, and then Spain, the big ass moon, right? But they were not all whoa, good whoa. I want moments like Moldova 2018, a telenovela on stage. Like, what is going on kind of moment. I want that happening. Give me something like that. I'm trying to think what else we had whoa moments. I just love these. Like, catches you off guard, and like, I did not see that coming. I think Georgia potentially is the biggest candidate to give us something like that. We don't have as many like fun entrances, if you know what I mean. Norway comes to mind, but I think they have their staging mostly figured out. So that I'm not expecting too much. Maybe Israel's going to come up with something really cool, but it's not going to be funny per se. It's just going to be more, different. I just want a really fun performance. Maybe Romania surprise us with something really cool. Romania is still on my radar. They have potential to do a really fun staging as well. Someone's asking winner vibe. I don't disagree necessarily with the betting odds. I think the betting odds are onto something. I think Ukraine could definitely win this whole thing. Italy could. I'm not quite as convinced about Italy winning. Italy does not scream winner to me, and as much as I'm addicted to that song, I don't think it's a winner. It's more of a, unless it pulls something what France did last year or the Netherlands the year before, they would have to pull something like that and then just win, by juries and televoters canceling each other out with their favorites. I think people sleeping on France a little. France will do much better than the betting odds suggest. I think they're at 1% winning. So that I think could do much, much better. So yeah, right now I will say I would, I agree with the betting odds. I think at this point I would say Ukraine is the one to beat, and then potentially a ballot the likes of Italy or Sweden actually win by due to cancellation, juries and televoters canceling each other out. That would be my thinking. But we could see, Italy last year, they were always pretty high in the betting odds, but they were only like pre-rehearsals, like 5th place or something like that. And then once they took stage for the first time, boom, they worked their way up, and then eventually they were the number one in the betting odds. But they weren't until the end. So something like this could happen again, and that's the beauty about it. That is the beauty. So yeah, that is what we have for this. Thank you so much. I know this was a very unstructured live stream, but I wanted to use this more of an opportunity to chat with everyone because, oh yeah, I wasn't live last week, by the way, and just so you know, I couldn't do my cat. I had to go to the emergency room basically with my cat. He almost died, so he's okay now. So, but it was a rough week, so I'm nurturing my cat back to healthy. So make sure, and I'm gonna post it one more time before I leave, to go to this link and watch the Barcelona pre-party. Let's get into the Eurovision spirit. It's about damn time. And I will be back next week with the next live stream. So thanks everyone for watching. Have a good day. Have a good night. Have a good whatever. And I'll see you all soon. Good night.